Hello again, my name's Daniel and this is my channel Guilty Feet. I've got no rhythm and I'm going to talk to you about what I've been reading this week. Not much bookish news in the last week despite a overwhelming surplus of actual news. One of the things I saw The Guardian was reporting this week that Faber & Faber have announced a new novel from Sally Rooney, due September the 7th, I believe. And the title of the book, as they recorded it, I wrote down, was Beautiful World, Where Are You? Beautiful World, comma, Where Are You? And that they mentioned the title 2 or 3 times in the article. At no point was there a question mark after the Where Are You? So I'm not quite sure how we're supposed to... Beautiful World, comma, Where Are You? No question mark. Yeah, Sally Rooney has not had a great track record for good book titles, but that hasn't stopped the book's become very popular. I didn't have a great experience with Conversation with Friends. I found it kind of inauthentic and just a bit flighty and surface level, and then happened to pick up Normal People and totally drank the Kool-Aid and thought it was an absolutely terrific read, and will go on to read, I think, this book and anything else she puts out, because yeah, I really bought into it then. And my daughter's just binged the TV show, which I haven't seen, and she sort of fell in love with those characters and that story. So whether I'll get her to read the book or not is another point. But yeah, so looking forward to that, and I'm sure many people, Normal People has been beloved by many people, so exciting news about a new one from Sally Rooney. As for my reading for the last week, I spent the large part of it reading Phineas Finn by Anthony Trollope. This is the second of Trollope's Palliser novels. The first one, Can You Forgive Her? And I thoroughly enjoyed this. You know, there's 700 pages of Victorian era Trollope here. I get that it's not everyone's favourite thing, but he hasn't let me down yet, except with his unnecessary anti-Semitism, which he's let himself down there, frankly. What we have here is Phineas Finn, a young man who's training to be a lawyer, who decides, or persuaded by friends, to run for Parliament. Now, in the time we're talking about, this book is written in 1867-68, and it's a contemporary novel. It's talking about politics in London in the early 1860s. And at the time, to run for a seat in British Parliament required a certain amount of money. Not only that, to be a member of Parliament was an unpaid job, and so that you needed some way to be able to support yourself while you were doing it. Now, there's a lot of class issues going on in this book, as there is throughout the history of British literature, and Trollope is very keen to point out that the best way to have money is to have inherited it. That puts you at the top of the tree. Another way to have the money to be an MP or just to go through life and enjoy the best that society has to offer would be to marry a woman who has money. Because once you marry a woman who has a certain amount of income, that is put at your disposal and becomes your money. So these are some of the options open to Phineas as a young single man who's supported by his father. Phineas's father is a rural Irish doctor, and the constituency that Phineas is elected to represent is in Ireland. Of course, in the 1860s, Ireland was still governed by the Parliament of the UK in London. Today, that part of Ireland is an independent country. And the money that his father gives him to run for Parliament represents a sizable chunk of the family's income. So the father, his mother and his sisters are all living in more reduced circumstances as a result of Phineas's ambition. So an unpaid MP at the beginning, we see Phineas arrive in Parliament for the first time. We see him make his first speech in Parliament, and it's a rather lacklustre affair. And we see him grow over time, form the right alliances, grow in confidence as a parliamentarian, and one of the ways to achieve success in Parliament and derive some income is to be appointed to the government, for which you need to know the right people and say the right things, and eventually there's a substantial annual income if you rise to the right position. Along the way, there are various romances. There are at least 4 different women that Phineas is involved with at different times. He's not always lucky in love. it's often we often hear about what a handsome man he is, and how tall and charming he is, and he seems to be perfectly agreeable. And in fact, I found him very agreeable company throughout, because he mostly behaves well. He's a young man, and he makes the mistakes of a young man, falling in love quickly, perhaps not wisely, transferring his love when first time it's rejected to someone else. A lot of mistakes that a young man makes, but he seems to behave throughout with a certain amount of integrity, or at least he wants to behave with integrity. There's even a duel that takes place over one of the women that he's in love with, that takes place off stage. In dueling was illegal at the time, so they go, I think, to Belgium to carry out their duel, and he comes back to Parliament with a bullet in his shoulder. It's cute and fairly romantic. And over the time, we followed Phineas, I think, over 5-6 years, where each time something goes wrong in Parliament, Parliament is dissolved and he has to stand again, sometimes a different constituency, and there's a lot of the British political system of the time, the 1860s. If that's of no interest to you, you might struggle with those parts of it, but most of it is about Phineas and his relationship to the people who support him and love him, and the women that he falls in love with, the women that fall in love with him, and it was all rather charming and jolly, and I very much enjoyed it. After Phineas Finn, the next in the series is called the Eustace Diamonds, and then we get the fourth in the Palliser series is called Phineas Redux. So at the end of this, he's still a young man, Phineas, and has gone through this arc of his time as an MP. I'm looking forward to revisiting him later in life. Phineas Redux, we'll get to hear what else he did, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Trollope, apart from the occasional bit of anti-Semitism, for example, one of the women that Phineas gets involved in is there is talk about her from other members of society that she's the widow of a Jew banker, and that's very much frowned upon. And yeah, Trollope is a bit of an anti-Semitic a-hole, but other than that, the book is perfectly charming, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. After I finished with Phineas Finn, I read Grayson, Volume 1, Agents of Spiral. Grayson is Dick Grayson, who was the first Robin. This is a series from 2014, I think, in the continuity of the time. Dick Grayson's superhero secret identity of Nightwing has been revealed, and so everyone knows that he's Dick Grayson, and then he was thought to be killed, and he chooses to pretend to stay dead so that anyone related to Dick Grayson will not be put at risk, and goes undercover in a secret, nasty sort of spy, assassination and nefarious organisation that has been whimsically branded Spiral, because it's got spy in it and it's like Spiral, and yeah, not great. So he's undercover there. They think they believe that he's got nothing left to lose, and that's why he's working with them. He's really secretly reporting to Batman, and even though Spiral goes around sort of knocking people off to carry out its nefarious ends, Dick Grayson, of course, will not kill anyone. So there's a lot of play in this where he's given a gun, but he keeps not shooting people, and he keeps trying to talk them into giving him what Spiral wants to get from them. It's all utter tosh. Written by Tim Seeley, who I'm not familiar with, written and plotted by Seeley and King, who I have read other stuff by Tom King. It's just not great. I think the best thing about it is probably this cover, which without the glare, I don't know if you can see, it's this gorgeous pink sort of 60s psychedelic. It's supposed to make you think, I guess, of like Matt Helm and all those spy movies that grew up when Bond first hit in the 60s. I think that's the vibe they're going for, but it's very tropey, like you put a whole bunch of spy tropes in a blender, and then you forgot to put the lid on, so when you push the button you got trope goop all over your backsplash, and you have to spend the rest of the night sort of wiping it off. Yeah, trope goop. I picked this up on eBay in the UK, so I paid £6 for it, including postage. It was still in plastic, so no remainder mark, and was absolutely brand new, never been read. Cover price is $22.99, but it was totally unnecessary. and really not very good. So after I finished with Grayson, I started reading Spade and Archer. This is what I'm on now, by Joe Gores. Spade and Archer is the prequel to The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. Gores has some form here because he wrote a book about Hammett, which was made into a film many years ago in the 70s, and that was a novel about Dashiell Hammett himself, who for many years worked as, I think, a Pinkerton detective, or at least as a professional detective, and he has a character called the Continental Operative, who based on his own experiences as a detective, and then he also famously wrote the book The Maltese Falcon, and The Maltese Falcon features a detective called Sam Spade, who's a private detective, and when The Maltese Falcon begins, I believe that Spade's partner, Miles Archer, is already dead. So this is Gores' imagined prequel to that story with Spade and Archer, and I'm kind of here for it. I love a good one. If you haven't read The Maltese Falcon, it is one of the greats. The Maltese Falcon is that rare bird that everyone chases. It's kind of, I guess, one of the original MacGuffins. And it's a terrific read. Thin Man is also good. Hammett's just one. If you're interested in detective fiction, you're interested in the origins of noir fiction, then Hammett is somebody you need to read. So this was a fun pickup. I bought this a couple of summers ago. We were in Connecticut visiting friends in the US, and we went to an outlet mall, and while my wife and daughter, I think, was with us at the time, were shopping elsewhere, I managed to sneak into a outlet bookshop that was closing down. So this has got a lovely remainder mark on there. It has a sticker on it saying 50% off cover price, and the cover price here is $15. I'm not sure I would have paid even as much as $7.50 for this. I don't remember. I can't be sure, but it may well have been on like a shelf of 3 for $12 or something like that. Let's say I paid $7.50 for it. Still, it's unread, even with the remainder mark. I don't mind that, and it'll be a nice, diverting read. He's a name. I'm not a big fan of other people writing other people's characters, but he's a reliable name in this field. So it should be something fun. I'll whiz through this this weekend. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.